Think about the moments when you felt like you weren't enough. But what if that feeling never really belonged to you? How far have you drifted from yourself just to become the person others expected you to be? Most of us, without even realizing it, signed invisible agreements with our families, with society, with old wounds. Be a good kid. Don't speak too much. Hide your feelings. Put others first. Maybe they were just sentences, but your mind turned them into rules. And now, whether you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, or 50s, if you're still asking yourself, am I enough? Let me tell you, it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility now. I once worked with a client. He was 47, successful, loved by many, but no matter what he did, he kept saying, I never feel like I'm enough. So we dug deeper. And there it was, when he was just 6 years old, his father once told him, stop crying, be strong. That one sentence became his invisible agreement. Hide your feelings, deny your pain, look strong. He carried it like law for over 40 years. Sometimes, a single sentence can direct an entire lifetime. And before you know it, you're starring in a story you didn't even write. Some emotions don't die when buried. They wait silently until they start eating you from the inside. We were taught to be strong, but no one ever taught us what true strength really means. Real strength is not about holding back your tears. It's about staying human, even when you're hurting. What you've been calling weakness might actually be a silenced need. And when a need is ignored for too long, it disguises itself as emptiness, self-doubt, or burnout. Your emotions aren't against you. They carry messages. Shutting them down is like slamming the door on the mailman. The message might not get in today, but eventually the door breaks. The rules we wrote to survive as children often become the prison walls we live behind as adults. But here's the good news. Every rule can be rewritten, and every story can be reclaimed. In psychology, we call these invisible agreements internalized beliefs. External voices repeated over time become your inner voice. The nervous system memorizes these rules as a form of safety. The brain, desperate to belong, sacrifices authenticity for survival. But when that adaptation becomes your identity, one day you'll look in the mirror and no longer recognize the person staring back. This disconnection, it's the quiet root of burnout, anxiety, and that lingering sense of emptiness. When you lose touch with your true self, life loses its flavor. Laughter feels forced, success feels hollow, and relationships stay shallow. Because a part of you still believes it has to perform to be loved. When you become a stranger to your own voice, loneliness doesn't show up in silence. It shows up in crowds. And even when everything looks fine from the outside, there's always that small piece of you that whispers, this isn't who I really am. This kind of inner conflict can't be solved with logic alone. It needs compassion. It needs awareness. And remember, forgetting who you are was never your fault. But remembering who you are, that's your journey now. Now that you're aware, try these 3 steps. 1. Identify the agreement. Ask yourself this. When did I learn to silence myself? A voice may come, a face, a memory. The answer always lives in the past, but healing begins in the present. Sometimes just asking this question is the first act of freedom. What's been buried won't disappear on its own. It only loses power when brought into the light. 2. Write the agreement. Pick up a pen. Write this down. I do, so I won't be. Example. I hide my feelings so I won't be judged. Writing is a quiet form of magic. What lives in your mind becomes visible when put into words. And what is visible can finally be changed. Sometimes reading your truth on paper hits deeper than understanding it in your mind. 3. Rewrite the agreement. Now create a new sentence. I am safe to express myself. Your brain has lived by the old rules for years. But here's the good news. The brain adapts to new ones too. All it takes is repetition, compassion, and intention. The mind is a garden. Whatever you plant, water, and repeat grows. What you write today could become tomorrow's inner voice. Once you name the weight you've been carrying, you no longer have to carry it alone. And sometimes, the most powerful transformation doesn't begin with a big decision, but with a quiet inner yes. Yes, I'm ready to listen to my own voice. Remember, reclaiming who you are isn't a single moment. It's a journey. And on that journey, your greatest tools are awareness and gentle repetition. Every repetition doesn't bring you back. It brings you home. Your story is deeper than you've been told, and more sacred than you may have realized. Somewhere along the way, you started living by rules you didn't write. You kept quiet when you wanted to speak. You smiled when you wanted to cry. You performed so you wouldn't be left behind. And you carried it so well, that even you started believing that version was who you really were. But now, you've seen the agreement. You've heard the voice behind the voice, and you know this much. Those old rules, they were never meant to define you. They were survival tools, not your identity. And just as they were written, they can also be rewritten, this time with your signature, on your terms. I know the road back to yourself can feel uncertain. You may ask, where do I begin? Can I really undo what's been running my life for so long? My answer is simple. Yes, you can, but you don't have to do it alone. If this message found you today, if something deep in you said, this feels like truth, then stay with us. Subscribe. Join this space. This isn't just another video. It's a place to come home to, step by step, layer by layer, breath by breath. We walk this road together.